A fresh chapter gets written today. Since 1989, the World Ultimate Club Championships has been competed for, and today in the open final, Raleigh Ring of Fire will be trying to put their name on that gold medal alongside PoNY of New York. Tom Stiles with you alongside legend of the sport Robin Fennick. And after a 3-year hiatus from playing these big world championships, it's so fantastic to be back here. But World Ultimate has got a different feel about it now. You've been competing in the mixed division with Noise. Just tell us about your experience and how World Ultimate has changed.
Yeah, I think after the end of the COVID pandemic, it really feels like the gap between the North American club teams across all divisions and the other countries in the world have really started to narrow. Even in games where the score may have looked a little bit lopsided, you're seeing players pressuring with really intensive, layout bids, pressuring every catch. I think as an American player and on a team that finished 6th, I felt very challenged in every single game that I competed in. I was also really impressed with the variety of conditions we saw in Cincinnati. We've got extreme heat, we had rain, we had wind, we had a little bit of wind and rain, we had some mud, we had everything, and every team, I think, handled it with ease and poise that I didn't necessarily see in the 2018 version of this tournament.
And we see the way the tournament has shaken out, Ring of Fire defeating Cuz, but Cuz rallied well to take 5-alls, knocking out the Sockeye, who were previous winners and twice silver medalists. Sockeye finishing 7th. Mooncatchers, the story of the tournament in many ways, a team from Belgium with the Jonkers brothers and Arvid Zaloskis. They went down 15-10, but they did all of their work in that magnificent quarter-final against Sockeye. Clapham knocked out Furious George in the quarter, but could not live with the fantastic PoNY. Jimmy Mickle throwing 8 assists in that semi. But just reflecting what you're saying about the change of World Ultimate, I think it's really valuable that apart from this All-American final, the next North American sides are Sockeye and Furious in 7th and 8th. And you've got teams from Europe, Clapham, Mooncatchers, Cuz, and then the Buzz Bullets from Japan taking up those other spaces. It is feels like the rest of the world is kind of catching up with the USA.
And honestly, as an American who has one foot in the European Ultimate scene, seeing the ascension of European Ultimate in the last 3 cycles, specifically since 2019, honestly, I've been very impressed with how the disc development and the depth of disc skills across all teams in all 3 divisions have really come. And I think post-COVID, it's really gotten to be very clear that that gap is closing.
And we saw Ring of Fire there, and here's PoNY doing the work against Clapham. They did a magnificent job taking down the bronze medal game, and they'll be delighted with that 3rd place, but they could not live with PoNY. Jeff Babbitt, an absolute monster on defense. Apparently the noise that Babbitt makes when he's chasing you is just terrifying. Justin Ford alongside Conor McHale, Andy Hillman and the rest of the Clapham line did a great job, but PoNY were just too good. McHale with that goal on the sideline. And in the bronze medal match, there was 2 greatest, one from each team, which I don't think has ever happened before. Well, there's Mickle with just 1 of the very many deep shots that was picked off for their big win. Marquez Brownlee, a big force, and Grant Lindsley with the grabs on defense. PoNY are going to be a force to be reckoned with. But let's just talk about that Raleigh Ring of Fire team, a team that have been at the sort of mid-level stage of USA Ultimate for a few years and now starting to build and grow and graduate and become one of the top forces in the game.
I think it really comes down to the long-term development that we've been seeing in the Triangle Ultimate community as a whole. There seems to be a direct pipeline from the Triangle area youth to University of North Carolina into Ring of Fire and the Raleigh Flyers AUGL team, with all of them being very active in the coaching scene. I know that Matt Gujohannes and Soljanik have been very active coaching together, and so that system that they're teaching even at the lower levels of Ultimate is actually carrying through very consistently through to the highest levels of Ultimate with Raleigh Ring of Fire. we also know that as a very systematic team, they're going to be very patient, and we got to see that at the USA Ultimate Club Championships last year in this match for the championship game between PoNY and Ring. Ring of Fire was really able to lean on their resets, their patience, to get those PoNY just extreme athletes out of the spaces. They were able to work past them and find easy isolation cuts. But then we also have, even though they're very system-based, they have an athlete like Jack Williams downfield who knows when and how to bend the system to find some creative options for Soljanic's throws over the top. We get to see some really exciting blades, but from that chemistry they've been building over the years, we get to see just those moments where they're able to take advantage of those seams in their systems.
And really exciting to see Jack Williams out here playing for Ring of Fire, a player that caught the scoring pass to take the USA national title, caught the scoring pass to take the World Games title for the USA, now potentially with a chance to take some of the scoring passes here for Ring of Fire. The world of Ultimate awaits this open final as we see the two teams warming up out here. On what is a hot day, the crowds behind us have been filling up, trying to stay out of the sun as much as possible, but there's only so much you can do. What you need, Robin, is a nice big hat.
Now, I thought about bringing my sun hat to help keep me cool, but I figured there's only room for one such hat in this space, and I can't compete with the legendary look of Tom Styles.
Thank you very much, Robin. 26 degrees, but it does feel a lot hotter than that because of the sun. Not that humid, and very, very little wind. Great conditions for Ultimate out here on the turf of the Mason High School Stadium. You see Babbitt in the 87 shirt, just having a chat with the rest of the Pride of New York team.
I'm really excited because I haven't gotten to see as much open division action this week as I would have liked to. Jeff Babbitt is somebody who I really, really appreciate, not just because of his athleticism, but because he has such control of his body. When he goes up to make an impressive play, like the one you're seeing right now, you know that there is very little, if any, contact. He comes out of nowhere to make those grabs, and he's ready to often, honestly, finish the score on the other end of the field. He's also given a lot back. He used to coach in the women's division with New York Bent. He's very active also as a coach in his local Ultimate community. So to see somebody that I think seems like a really good guy to also bring it on the field, it's really exciting, I don't know, to see that.
So I had a couple of our commentator colleagues on the sideline yesterday in the Clapham game when Babbitt came through, took a score and then hurdled the barrier and ran through. And they just said his very presence is a menace. He's a terrifying human being when he's fired up and running at you. And I imagine as an offense, you know that that's lurking. You don't know when it's going to strike. And he's not the only thing that's terrifying about this PoNY defense. They really do bring it from all over the field.
Yeah, PoNY is a team that has the exact kind of opposite style of Ring of Fire in the sense that they don't have everybody playing a complete role on the field. They really let everybody's individual athleticism shine in the role where they're going to be most impactful. And we see that with Jimmy Mickles' throws. We see that with Babbitt's defensive presence. We see that with somebody like Grant Lindsley, who we were used to seeing be a very complete player. He gets to pick and choose his moments when he has that matchup and he can really go to town. And they're really good at highlighting who has the individual matchup, who has the preference in the space. And so that's going to be a very direct comparison to that very systematic, we rely on everybody being a complete player kind of dynamic that we see from Ring of Fire.
Well, we need to make some decisions now, Robin. I'm going to ask you to take a choice. Who have you got then in this open final at the World Ultimate Club Championship? Is it going to be Ring or is it going to be PoNY?
I'm going to take Ring, and I think it's because the consistent presence that we've seen from start to finish in this tournament from Ring of Fire. Their offense knows how to be patient. They know how to work through that the impressive athleticism of the PoNY defense. We saw that last year in the USA Ultimate Club Championships, and it was very helpful for them to just stay in it. I also think the fact that Ring had a very evenly matched semifinal versus Mooncatchers, another very athletic team that lets their stars shine. The fact that they were were able to, they traded blows in the first half that each team had a break. They were able to slowly and consistently wear down at that Mooncatcher's pressure to come out on top and extend the lead. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I do think that Ring of Fire is going to come out on top.
Okay, well, I'm going to be contrarian, or perhaps not. I'm going to take PoNY. I think they looked incredible against Clapham, and I'd like to see any offense stay with them for a game without getting broken at all. Let's see how it all pans out here on the field. The inimitable voice of Liam Grant is up in the commentary box alongside the one and only Evan Lepler. Back with the gold medal matchup from Cincinnati in just a moment.
It is time for another thrilling chapter in the history of Ultimate. It is time for the men's final at the 2022 World Ultimate Club Championships here in Cincinnati, Ohio. A beautiful day for Frisbee, and the two best teams in the world meet to determine a world champion. It's a rematch of last year's USA Ultimate National Final between Ring of Fire from Raleigh, North Carolina, and the Pride of New York, PoNY from New York City. Hi, everybody, with Liam Grant. I'm Evan Lepler. It's truly a privilege to be with you for this game. And Liam, the classic games in Ultimate generally come down to two teams that both believe with every fiber of their being that they are the best in the world, and that's really what we got here today.
Yeah, I'm buzzing for this game. They definitely are the best in the world. This is why we have these World Championships, to get all the best teams from around the world. And usually as a non-North American, I may be hoping for a European team in the final, but this is the final I want because I think they're the best two teams, and we're going to have a show for us today.
Benyat and PoNY have been dominant so far in the tournament. They've outscored their opponents by over 50 goals. In the bracket play alone, their 3 wins have come by a combined score of 45-25. Meanwhile, Ring's bracket games have been 45-26. Both teams after a 15-10 win over a strong European outfit in the semifinals, and they meet here today with everything on the line. Now, they met in October in similar circumstances out in San Diego. 13-12 was the final for Ring. There were 5 turns apiece, 1 break apiece. Let's talk about keys to the game. First for Ring of Fire.
Yeah, look at that, Carolina friends. I think chemistry is something this Ring of Fire team have so well. We saw in that semi-final against Mooncatchers playing small ball, those North Carolina almost brothers when playing so long together, and just you can't teach that chemistry. It has to develop over a long time, and that is something that's going to be very difficult for this PoNY team to stop.
And for PoNY, we're talking about the Mickle to Yacht connection has been on fire, and it may sound simple, but starting on offense is a key for PoNY. They chose defense last year after winning the flip before the men's final, and in a game with very few turnovers, each team had the same turns, each team had the same breaks. That coin toss was virtually the difference, although everyone says it would have been a completely different game if they had started on O. We will see how they fared today. Very few changes from a roster standpoint compared to last October when they met. There are a few. New York has John Lithio and John Babbitt playing O-line, so they're a bigger O-line than they were last year. And Anders Jungst, Alan Laviolette, 2 great offensive players, both injured for a Ring now, but the defense has gotten stronger with Dylan Hawkins and Charlie McCutcheon. There's Ben Van Hoevelen, his first ever club Frisbee tournament was Worlds in Hawaii 2 decades ago. This is his first time back, and he has a team capable of winning a world championship. Meanwhile, Mike DeNardis, the leader of this North Carolina Ultimate program over the course of the past decade, and there's definitely a different demeanor compared to a year ago for this Ring of Fire program. The confidence that they gained from winning first in the AUDL and then winning the club title. Noah Saul told his team before the game, "We are the bleeping champs." He said 5 years ago, I tried to emulate Revolver because they had won 5 ships. But now everybody's trying to be us. We are the champs. Let's play like the champs.
Yeah, Ring of Fire have created their own identity. I think trying to be like another side is never the way to go. Build your own identity, and Raleigh as a whole, the Ultimate scene is just taking over. They want to be the city that's famed for Ultimate. Jimmy Mickle, 39 assists so far in this tournament. I'd say he'll get a few more. Don't think he'll catch Sho Okajima, who's in the 70s. I think 71 so far, but that's just a big key to their offense. Having Jimmy on the disc allows all the cutters downfield so much space. There's so much danger when the disc is in Jimmy's hands. And it's just a joy if you're a cutter to have someone like that.
Well, we don't know for sure who won the flip, but I'm going to say with confidence that Ring won the flip and chose offense on a day with very little wind. It'll be Ring starting on O against PoNY, just like last fall in San Diego. On the starting O line for Ring, it's Jack Williams, Matt Gusho-Hannes, Saul Yannick, Ryan Osgar, Henry Fisher, Dylan Lanier, and Terrence Mitchell.
I think one big difference from the game last year is no Conrad Schlur for this PoNY side, and he matched up against Jack Williams for a lot of that final, so I'm really interested to see who's going to take that Jack Williams matchup.
Jack Hatchett launches the opening pull. It's wayward, and we are underway in this men's final. One of these two teams will become the 9th different men's champion at WUCC. Revolver, the 3-time defending champion, is not here, and there will be a new king of the world when someone reaches 15. Let's check out the matchups. Ben Katz bouncing on Saul Yannick, who throws a little high, and Williams has to go up on Lindsley to make the snag. John Randolph is on Matt Gusho-Hannes. It's Mike Drost on Dylan Lanier. Antoine Davis guarding Terrence Mitchell, who hits Jack Williams into the red zone. Swinging the disc, it's Matt Gusho-Hannes. He's won college titles, he's won national titles, he's won U24 Worlds. This would be his first high-level world championship. Nifty reset from Yannick to Gusho-Hannes. You saw Katz poaching in the lane. Jabron Measers prevented Ryan Osgar from touching the disc yet. This is the patience we saw from Ring all throughout the semifinals. They really tried to get short throws for goals. So many of their scores, Liam, were less than 5-yard throws near the front of the end zone. Just like this. And Ryan Oscar's first touch is the opening score.
And you see that small ball again from Ring of Fire. I remember watching the highlight package from the semi-final. It wasn't the most exciting one you've ever seen, and that's just how they play. And it's the likes of Yannick, Williams, Gusho-Hannes can keep possession so well. And that's the anchor of this offense. Once or twice, Williams had to go up to some ballooning disc. It was Grant Lindsay taking the matchup in his first point. I wouldn't be surprised if they mix it up a bit, taking Williams, but at a difficult task. Conrad Schlur, of course, playing with Wall City at this tournament.
Planning to play back with PoNY this fall, my understanding, but they don't have him today. Eric Taylor getting ready to pull for the Ring D as we look at the PoNY offense led by Jimmy Mickle, who's just had an unbelievable tournament. The ring scoring, Liam, is a bit more balanced. 12 different double-digit scores. No one with more than 24 scores. Scores being combined goals and assists. PoNY has 11 double-digit scores, but Mickel's at 44, and Yacht is at 30.
Something you actually rarely see at this level with North American teams. I often find they spread it around, but they're just putting a huge amount of trust in Mickel to make the big decisions.
A lot of teams have tried to take away PoNY's unders, so that's opened up the door for Jimmy to shoot it to Yacht. It's been a recipe for success. Good break of the mark from Sean Keegan to Jeff Babbitt, who was not in this game last fall. Harper Garvey. And here's John Lithio, another rookie on this PoNY team, and a collision in the middle of the field. Yacht and Liam Searles Bowes tangled up, tumbling down. Yacht taking exception. And a spicy start here in Cincinnati.
Both these teams going through the bracket, not facing off against other U.S. teams. It's going to be a different level of physicality in this game. That's probably going to take a little bit of adjusting.
There's a pick or a violation on the restart. Signal for the pick. Suraj Mataraju's on Jimmy Mickel downfield. Jacob Fairfax chasing Jeff Babbitt around.
You see the ring defense trying to push Jimmy deep, try and push Harper Garvey deep. They want them not controlling the offense, but Jimmy, a great two-way player. It's a risky game.
Fairfax runs by Babbitt. Great handler defense from Weaver on Keegan, and Mickel gets his first touch in the backfield. Mickel launches a laser to Sam Little, and he makes the grab, and then dishes to Keegan for the score.
Sam Little there when you need him. I thought he's been such a great offensive player through the years with PoNY. I saw one of the seasons they took him off the O-line. I was really surprised because he's just a very solid guy. And Jimmy trusting him into deep space. Had to get up nice and early.
It's kind of fun seeing Jimmy Mickel wind up for that throw, isn't it?
He's got the best forehand in the business, if you ask me, and had to be brave there. They were struggling in their offensive line to find some rhythm, but he's going to take those big shots all day. He does have that kind of a unique style where he puts his whole body into the forehand flick. Haven't played much baseball, but he always throws like a baseball player.
See Brian Jones getting ready to set up the defensive matchups. Ben Yacht crossing over early in this game as Marquez Brownlee prepares to pull. Nope, gives the disc to Yacht. Yacht's going to launch it.
It's definitely hot here in Cincinnati. This would have been the first game these teams are playing on artificial turf. That's going to raise the heat as well. You wonder how often the likes of Yacht is going to be able to cross over in this heat.
Not the hottest day of the week, but certainly toasty. Alex Davis playing his first O-point of the game in place of Terrence Mitchell. As Gusho Hanna centers to Yannick.
I think Davis taking over from Youngst, who had a fantastic final last year. Scored 3 goals in that semi-final yesterday against Mooncatchers and was probably the standout player for them.
When teams face him for the first time, you don't necessarily realize how fast he is, because even though he talks about it and he shows it off, when you see it for the first time as an opponent, it's a different dynamic. Gusho Hannes hits Davis on the under. Evan Paget poaches off Davis, and Davis is wide open deep. Paget able to recover without Ring finding him. Now Fisher's going long. Fisher and Osgar each with 24 scores. They're the leaders for Ring. 16 assists, 8 goals for one, 16 goals, 8 assists for the other, and the guy with more goals is Henry Fisher, but he's going to throw the assist if Davis can get there. And there's the speed. Hitting the turbo boosters to put Ring back in front. 3 clean holes to start the men's final.
You cannot overthrow this man. That looked like it might be going wayward, but rounds the corner and comes in and just chases that one down. I was expecting him to at least have to lay out. And PoNY that time trying to disrupt the small ball. You saw a couple of poaches there. Davis was wide open at one stage. And that's going to be the game plan, I think, for PoNY, is trying to disrupt that small ball but not give away too much. Try and strike that balance. That's what Brian Jones was saying to me before the game. It's very difficult to disrupt the small ball without giving else something away.
So pretty much the start we expected. We thought possessions would be at a premium. I think the consensus, this would be for sure a single-digit turnover game for the two teams individually. Maybe 10 to 15 total turns in this game, but I mean, there's very little wind whatsoever. As Eric Taylor prepares to pull. He grew up here in the Queen City of Ohio. Played Youth Ultimate over at the Lebanon Sports Complex where the first 6 days of this tournament were held.
I wonder if he ever played a bit of footy in the wall-to-wall soccer complex. It's nice to be in the stadium here, but I do
only when the weather got really bad.
I do have fond memories of the wall-to-wall soccer complex. It's definitely the interesting finals day.
It was the unexpected turn of events 4 years ago when we were forced indoors because of the weather, and it did create a spectacle unlike anything seen before at a World Championship event. This the 12th edition of WUCC. First held 1989 in Germany. Keegan needs an option, and he'll find Babbitt free under. I think both coaches knew that the defensive pressure they would face today is more than they've seen in any other game in the tournament.
Talking to Clapham after the semi-final, and those Clapham guys have been around a long time. They said it was the toughest defense they've ever played against, and that was coming from Justin Ford.
PoNY taking down Clapham 15-10, ring over the Mooncatchers, who were the darlings of the tournament in many ways, as Keegan gets tied up with McCutcheon. Clapham did get the better of the Mooncatchers in the bronze medal match, but it was cool immediately after the game, and I mean seconds after Clapham scored the game-winning goal, as you see the collision there. Mooncatchers' leadership was like 4th place in the world. We need to be very, very proud. Hold your heads up high. It was cool to see, despite 2 tough losses on Friday, which is the day you really want to be playing at this event in games that matter. John Randolph getting a 0 point here. He's bounced back and forth. Certainly, if you followed Ultimate recently, you need no introduction to how good he can be. Mickle's throw is low, and everybody says it was up. And Sam Little and John Lithio have made 2 clutch grabs on the first 2 points to keep PoNY's offense perfect. John Lithio rescues one from the ground. Had that been on a grass field, that might have been called down. A fluttery one from Mickle, and yeah, millimeters from hitting the turf, but Lithio gets his paws under that one. Oh, that was close. If that was grass, I think that would have been down. Especially the grass that we had over in Lebanon, which was beautiful plush grass, but it was not tightly trimmed. It was relatively tall grass for Ultimate. These are the margins that decide finals. I was rewatching last year's championship game early this morning, and my broadcast partner for that game, our good friend Ian Toner, clairvoyantly said in the open that it was going to come down to resets and who can do them better, and it was 2 critical reset errors for PoNY that virtually decided the game. Brian Jones, I asked him, have you focused on that and made some tweaks? He said, yeah, it's something that we have focused on. We made a few small adjustments, and so far through 4 points, they've had the answers. Other interesting thing that Jones said, usually this tournament, your plan A works. You don't need to go to plan B and plan C. In a game like this, you can start with plan A and it can work, but it will only work for a few points. You have to have plans B, C, D, and E against a team that has the brain power like Ring of Fire. Fisher bluffs the big backhand. He had Oscar going. Here's Jack Williams. Zips it downfield for Yannick. Back for Gusho Hannes and a quick little give and go. And a pick downfield. The disc will stay, I believe, with Yannick.
And again, we see this small ball from the ring players, pushing the stack quite deep away from the two men in control.
Little floater of a scuba, but Williams stepping into Lindsley. Pretty good mark there by Lindsley, standing his ground. Lindsley rolls onto Yannick. Katz now on Williams, who needs a reset, and Fisher makes himself available. And then Williams bursting up the line, beating Ben Katz for the ring score.
And they're just so good. Jack Williams takes a seat after that one, had to use his legs, a well-earned rest. And it looks like a 3-on-3 game in a training session. That's what it looks like sometimes. Basically allowing 2 or 3 players to take over in the red zone. And we see them use that scuba a little bit as well as Williams creates a bit of space. We saw Fisher kind of cycle in there just to mix it up a bit. Williams straight into the shade. You know, that style of play, very effective, but it's a lot of running. It's going to start eating into his energy pretty soon.
Caught the game-winning score in the gold medal game in Birmingham, Alabama. 2 weeks ago today. Grant Lindsley, his opponent today, threw him that game-winning goal to beat Australia in a really tremendous culmination of the best World Games flying disc has ever had.
I'd say no love lost between those two lads now. That's well forgotten about.
Keegan and Garvey in the backfield. Mickle gets involved now. It's a junky look. Mickle unmarked, and he just finds Yacht downfield over to Little.
Jimmy Mickle carving up that zone like a Christmas turkey. He's just, when there's no wind and you give Jimmy the disc, he's going to find that throw.
Keegan slipped. Stall count rising. Little angles that reset exactly how it needed to be. Mickle for Babbitt. Yacht's coming next, but Babbitt looks him off. Lithio. Tough grab. The disc was behind him.
You know, I'm so used to seeing Babbitt being a D-line specialist, going out there getting blocks. And it's kind of strange seeing the O-line just grinding under. It's a different role for him.
Babbitt up the line. Clean clap catch. 3-all, but a pick might bring this one back. I joked with Jeff Babbitt, what'd you do to get demoted from the D-line? And he said, I guess I just don't turn it over enough.
Yeah, has to make that transition from being an incredibly exciting defensive player to almost a little bit boring offensive player, which is a great thing to have.
Whether he's on O or D, he is a hulking presence out there on the field. So the PoNY O-line still with work to do. No turns in the game. Will it stay that way here? No, it will not, but a foul called. And there's no contest, so officially still turnover free here at Mason High School in the men's final.
That's a veteran move, that high stall count, pivot around on the back end and kind of draw the foul, get a free reset of the stall count. It's very hard not to be tempted into making a foul there.
Mickle's got it. Mataraju on the mark. Trying to use a big wingspan against Mickle. Keegan up the line, and Babbitt could not be denied.
He was always going to get that goal. Was a little annoyed on the pick call earlier that was stolen away from him, but Babbitt tears down the field. I've never been to Pamplona after the running of the Bulls, but I can only imagine the closest similar experience is being chased by Jeff Babbitt.
Imagine if he's running at you. Foul call that gave PoNY the disc back, and it's the veteran Sean Keegan. Keegan was a member of the Denver Johnny Bravo team that went to the semis at Worlds 2 cycles ago in Lecco. There are some players in this game that have won world championships before. Grant Lindsley and Antoine Davis were on Revolver 4 years ago. But for the most part, obviously some World Games talent spread around. Jimmy Mickle and Chris Kocher were beaten by that Revolver team as members of Sydney Colony 4 years ago. But for the most part, this would be a new achievement for the majority of the players that win this game today. And I think, you know, I was chatting with Grant Lindsley before the game. He said USAU Nationals is still the pinnacle, but there was a big however. This kind of feels like the next chapter of USAU Nationals because of the opponent, and because of that, he said he really wanted to get this one today.
Yeah, it's a different medal to hang up on the wall, different trophy to bring home. It only happens every 4 years, and not all the US teams qualify, so it's actually a rare experience for these players.
Dylan Lanier bluffs the big backhand. Gotta respect it. Although Ring has not come close to throwing a pass more than 15-20 yards so far until now. It's Oscar on the hook from Yannick. 2 defenders there, and Oscar skies them both. And Alex Davis has the goal. No sweat off Ryan Oscar's brow. 4-3 for Ring.
Ryan Oscar getting up early, reaching that one, taking it down from the top shelf. Rides the contact so well. Always kept his eyes on the disc. A fantastic play. I think PoNY would be happy with the defensive look there. Tempted him into the deep shot, but Oscar just too good in the air.
Jeff Holm and Tyler Haskell are not small dudes for PoNY's defense. I mean, those are 2 guys that PoNY would love to have back there defending a deep shot. Wow.
And I always thought of Oscar as a kind of a center O-line handler, but we've seen him throughout this tournament play a different role, go a bit deeper, use his height, and I think he's one of those players that could maybe be on a World Games team in 3 years' time in China, and it's that balance and that depth of talent, being able to push downfield, make big grabs. That's something that'll get you on that World Games team.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Liam. There's the O-line for PoNY. No surprises. Eric Taylor, that trademark circular pull, and it's a good one, forcing Garvey to the back of his own end zone. Well, I said there had been no turns, and there was almost a turn that came back because of a call. I said Ring hadn't hucked it, and they promptly proved me wrong. Anything else you'd like to see? I'll just say that it's not going to happen, and then it will inevitably be the next thing that unfolds. No way we're going to see a greatest. There's just no chance. The bronze medal match was the game of greatest that you called with Theo Wan.
That was such a fun game. It was kind of a showcase game. You can vote which was the greatest in that game.
We're happy where it is?
It's got to be the Mooncatchers one, right?
I don't know. I felt I think it was the Wilson greatest. He had a man on his back. He did this Maldarez climbing over him. Had to make the decision to not try and toe the line. So, yeah, hotly debated which was the greatest.
If you have multiple greatest in a game, can you still call both of them greatest is another philosophical question that is up for debate. Mickle unleashes looking for Babbitt. He's got steps on Justin Allen, and Babbitt coolly takes care of business.
You just can't stop that. Jimmy Mickle. And that's just a weapon he has, and with the likes of Babbitt and Yacht, it's almost undefendable. You just got to hope that he has an off day, but he's been on the money so far. I think the most terrifying offense possibly ever in the game is this Jimmy Mickle, Yacht and Babbitt combinations. Is his name James? Because that was a giant peach, Evan.
I'm not sure. It might be. I've only known him as Jimmy.
Such a great guy as well.
It's the same field here at Mason High School that he won his college championship on for the University of Colorado 8 years ago. Same year he won the Callahan and the club championship, kind of creating that Jimmy Mickle club of Callahan, college title, USA Ultimate Club title in the same season. Jimmy part of the PoNY team in 2018 that won its first national title. PoNY's been around for a long time, but it was a conversation right around the 2017 area that helped elevate them to the next level. Of course, it also helped that Jimmy Mickle moved to New York. Grant Lindsley moved to New York. Need a little luck, in addition to great minds and talent, to put a champion together. Marquez Brownlee is on Yannick, Lindsley on Gusho Hannes. Williams in the middle, chased by Jack Hatchett. Got to imagine Hatchett pretty familiar with guarding Williams during USA World Games practice. Hatchett was an alternate on this past World Games squad. Osgar sending Lanier. Drost peels off defensively, and Lanier can't get it. And there is the game's first turnover.
Wow, such great defense from PoNY. They were baiting that shot. It was almost like an action replay of the point before where Osgar had to make the grab. You can see PoNY are tempting them to make the deep shots, and they get the turnover out of it. And I really like this Grant Lindsley on the D-line, because he's a man who can take over on a point like this.
So Ring's O-line blinks first. Brownlee. Big gainer for Davis. Zips it downfield for Hatchett. Hatchett going for it all. Marquez Brownlee has the break for the pride of New York.
What a massive moment in the game. Brownlee doing what he does best, scoring goals for this PoNY D-line. Might have seen some of his clips of Skies earlier on in the week. Looking to get a few more highlights in this game.
Dylan Lanier made this close, Liam. Got his fingertips on it. Would have been an unbelievable grab. But then Hatchett, who has really improved as a D-line quarterback. I mean, he's always been a fierce defender getting blocks, but he's become more aggressive, I believe, these past few years with his throws after return. Part of the reasons he got on the 10-person male matching squad for the World Games. And Marquez Brownlee is also playing the best ultimate of his career as a handler defender and as a striker after a turn. He victimized a pair of buzz bullets ruthlessly, and there's not going to be many breaks in this game. Everyone is gargantuan. 5-4 for PoNY.
I think Brian Jones deserves some credit for the defensive look there. You can see he's flustering their small ball and tempting them into the deep shot, and that deep shot is on, but maybe it's not as solid as the small ball they like to play, so forcing them into a different style of offense that maybe they don't want to do, Evan.
Yacht playing a point on D. A great pull, and Katz down quickly. Shashank Lottie charging down as well on Yannick. And here's Osgar. Fairfax playing a point on O. And I think he threw through the foul. It's complete to Davis. Williams makes himself available. Kocher has been dealing with a nagging hamstring injury. Playing defense there. Fairfax quickly dishes. Big bid there for Haskell. Comes up empty on Fisher. And Oscar. To some, this may seem boring. I don't know about you, Liam. To me, this is riveting because every throw feels contested and every mistake feels so massive. And Oscar able to make the catch after the hiccup where everybody had their heart skip a beat for a moment.
Get out of jail free card for Oscar. As you said, mistakes rarely happening. He gets away with one there. And yeah, what seemingly was a bit of boring offense during that moment. I'm watching matchups downfield. I was loving Chris Kocher on Henry Conker, kind of two different builds. Henry Fisher, sorry. And just watching those two of different size and stature battle it out downfield. There's a lot of action happening in the individual matchups. Good to see Kocher on the field. I was worried he might not play. Still has a niggling hamstring injury from the World Games.
I think anyone who's ever tossed a Frisbee has been in this position that Oscar was in right here. What goes through your mind in that split second when you realize you don't have possession?
Fear, panic. He was lucky there was some end zone left for him to chase that one down.
Well, he didn't panic. There may have been some fear, but he stayed calm. All right, 5-all. PoNY up the one break. And it's time to start thinking about who's going to get to 8 points first, because that's worth a half break. If PoNY holds out the rest of the half, Ring's going to have to break them twice to win. That's a dangerous huck. Garvey just put it up there, but who else but Jeff Babbitt comes down with it, towering over his teammate John Randolph and all the other defenders.
Yeah, Babbitt a cheat card on this offense. That one, a bad throw ballooning into the sky, but Babbitt's going to come down with most of those.
And then a drop from Garvey becomes PoNY's first turnover. They're conversing.
Not sure what the call could be. Looked like a bit of a ghosty to me. I'm not even sure if he touched anything.
Okay, did you stop running because of the pick?
Yeah, I heard the pick early, far earlier than me.
Okay, so there was a pick called early.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you stopped?
Yeah,
And the pick was before the throw. Yep. That's correct, if it affected the play. Yep.
Garvey taking a page out of the Jack Williams playbook from yesterday. The call and then the drop, and the offense maintaining possession, and the Ring sideline loving the boos.
I hate this call. He says he stopped playing, it affected the play. I don't understand how it affected the play. Maybe he would have kept running, it would have been more free. Hard one to say, but very similar to the Jack Williams call yesterday, so play goes on.
Did look like Elijah Long may have gotten a piece of it just ever so narrowly as well, but after the call and the pick, PoNY does convert Mickle to Randolph.
We hear the boos coming, and the Ring of Fire players leaning into it. John Randolph, probably the best end zone offense player I've ever seen. I remember that U24 team from USA in Heidelberg, and he has this shuffle step that sells everyone, and that was their luck. And I'd like to see more from him in this game, seeing a bit of that and how he's grown as a person. When that under-24s tournament, wow, he was amazing.
The Randolph cut is what you're referring to. Won a college championship for Brown in 2019. What a scene we've got here on the field behind the main stadium. Raleigh Phoenix won bronze over Melbourne Ellipsis earlier today. Here's another look at the pick in the side of the stack. Long, I think, just nicked that disc. Yeah, he got a tiny piece of it.
So Harper Garvey argues that it affected the play. I don't understand what he does differently if he doesn't hear that pick. I'm suggesting he slowed down, he stops. I don't get it.
I think it's a fair critique, Liam.
And I actually do like the WFDF rules of did it affect the play, and players have to decide that, but it does leave a lot of room for interpretation.
Well, arguably more important than any personnel difference is the fact that we're playing this game under a different rule set than the last time these two teams met at Club Nationals in San Diego. Davis going, the throw goes up from Yannick. Davis, and Alex skies Antoine.
The Davis derby, love to see it. Had some separation as Antoine Davis was trying to chase him down, but not many people can. Alex Davis racking up the goals again.
That's number 3.
I think PoNY again happy with this look. They want this to turn into a Huck happy game. And if it is, I think they win it.
I was thinking the same thing. You're absolutely right. Because Ring gradually suffocated the Mooncatchers by not hucking for the most part and by just working them into a pulp with red zone, chill, short dishes.
Yeah, they're basically allowing the Ring players to have separation deep and going, go for it, try that shot. You're going to get it most of the time, but one of the times Antoine Davis is going to get one, or Babbitt's going to get one, or Grant Lindsley's going to get one. So that's part of the strategy, and I think it's a good one.
It's almost like Alex Davis is darting deep at like 50% of his normal speed, and then the throw goes up. As you see William Dean on the sideline, he suffered a really traumatic dislocated knee injury in the Nomadic Tribe game in the round of 16. But William Dean said he's going to have no voice by the end of the game today. He is still bringing his full heart and energy to the sideline despite the injury. Keegan for Babbitt. Yacht. Here's Lithio. One of the things Mike Denardis said, he wants PoNY's big cutters to have to complete passes to each other. He thinks that's an advantage for Ring when Babbitt, Yacht, and Lithio are throwing to one another. So far, they have not blinked. Nickel. Yacht takes care of it. Going up the line, Keegan on his horse. Keegan makes the play, and then he was hit from behind. McCutcheon apologizes immediately, and good to see calmer heads prevail there.
Keegan unflustered as we see William Dean there. Kind of reminds me of Patches O'Houlihan from the movie Dodgeball.
I wonder how he feels about that comparison.
Don't know if he'll be throwing wrenches. I'm pretty sure Jimmy Mickle could throw a wrench pretty far if he needed to.
Well, the question is, could his teammates dodge it, or I don't know. This is a little bit of a daring throw here by Yacht. Keegan's more of a handler than a deep cutter, and kind of a scary play there. McCutcheon apologized immediately, and you know, half-decade ago, I'm not sure Keegan would have reacted that calmly to a play like that, so credit to Sean.
Yeah, keeping a cool head there in the shade. And Yacht known for those kind of risky biscuit throws. not afraid to put it up, but I think that adds a dynamic to your offense.
Well, Harper Garvey made the somewhat controversial call of saying that the pick impacted the reception. PoNY still turnover free, as you see. Some new bronze medalist, Raleigh Phoenix. Apparently the crowd is booing Harper every time he touches the disc.
And what if the ring players feel jealous that Harper's getting all the boos? Yeah, that's a big moment of the game, that call. I think we might reflect on it again. I think the big thing is they didn't ask the game advisor for their opinion, and the game advisors have to be asked. I would have liked to hear what Ruben Berg's interpretation of the situation would have been.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now, they don't have to go with Ruben's interpretation, but might have been a mistake for Elijah Long not to say, hey, Ruben, what did you see? Well, Brian Jones has been fueled by the 1-goal loss to Ring of Fire last year. I mean, certainly all this PoNY team has, but I think there were times after the championship last fall, Brian thought maybe he would call it quits as a coach, not sure whether he would want to come back and make the commitment. But it was that loss that just prevented him, really gave him no choice in his mind. He had to come back and get a revenge. There's Jeff Babbitt winning the foot race to the floater intended for Dylan Lanier. If PoNY can stay perfect, they will take half with their second break. Grant Lindsley dishes near the sideline, and what a catch by Sam Little. Yacht to Little. This is the most intense defense Ring's played so far, certainly from their O-line. They recognize the situation. This top-notch line out there after the timeout for PoNY. And Little has Lindsley open, didn't hit him, bluffs the Scuba. Tight space, Randolph doing what he does. Travel call.
Babbitt almost getting the bookends, and this very clever coaching from Brian Jones, stacking a line of their defensive big boys, knowing that if they get the break, they'll get a rest after half. Had that timeout to give the likes of Babbitt a rest to come in and make that big play.
To avoid you. But your momentum is going that way, so you can't go like this and then set your pivot. You can't.
It's very straightforward.
Like this,
Yeah.
which you can't do.
So there's been a travel
That
call.
would be true, but you're about to land on my feet, so I get out of the way. And it's like a 5-yard backhand. No.
No. Okay. So he's called a travel. You've discussed it.
I'm curious what you think. If you saw anything.
I didn't see the pressure. It looked to me like you traveled.
Okay.
Still count?
I think there was a travel from John Randolph, but I think his argument is valid that he was trying to avoid contact and couldn't stand on someone and was riding a bit of motion there, and I think that makes sense to me.
We play on. Certainly not a call that will decide the game. And there's contact between Little and Williams.
So you see this overhead shot of the D-line offense from PoNY, and they have some big names out there.
Everybody getting a breather here.
So foul was called.
So what's the outcome? Accepted? Foul's accepted. So sawing one.
How patient will PoNY be here, Liam? And who for Ring can make the crazy defensive play? To Babbitt in the end zone, he's open. Is there a call? There is not. That's the second break for PoNY. And New York takes half 8-6 in the men's final.
Jeff Babbitt stepping up, getting the bookends. You're asking who they're going to throw to. You have to feed the big man. And he's owning this game right now. Player of the first half. goes out there on offense, grinds out some unders, crosses over a D-line point, and does what he does best and makes the big play.
That's well said. Jeff Babbitt has been the difference in the game, and he was not in the game when these two teams met in a Universe Point thriller last October. Babbitt skies Lanier as if the cut was designed for him. And then Lindsley to Babbitt. Only 2 turns in the half. PoNY was perfect. Can they keep it going? They're up 8-6 at halftime here in the men's final. Well, Ring of Fire is on pace for just 4 turnovers. That's how many they had in the semifinal, and that's pretty darn good, but PoNY has been even better. No turns for PoNY in the first half. They lead 8-6. Our Katie Killebrew standing by on the sideline with Ring's Eric Taylor.
Eric, this has been a big half for y'all, really coming down to small margins. What are you guys looking to do in the second half back?
I think in the second half, we're really just looking to stay with the systems that have served us so well this tournament. Really looking to, obviously, like, they're a great team. They're going to make some plays, and they did. But I think we really trust our game plan and our structures to sort of pan out in the long run. So we're really looking forward to sort of be ourselves in the second half and trust that things are going to work out.
This is a big crowd here. There's people from all over the world. And it's a little bit hot as we were talking as we came across, but what are you feeling in the atmosphere here?
I mean, I think in the atmosphere, we're really just trying to focus on the playing field proper. It's a big stadium. There's a lot going on out there, so easy to get lost in the moment if you're not careful.
And as you go into the rest of this game, how are you preparing yourself to really make an impact and come back?
I mean, I think like I said, we trust our guys, we trust our systems, and I don't know, we sort of trust there's a little bit of magic left in this team, and I'm really confident that we'll be able to put together in the second half.
I love that. Trust and magic looking here in the second half. I'm sending it back to you, Evan.
Katie, thank you. Eric Taylor, as level-headed as anybody. Also a guy with a level-headed hat and a level-headed voice. Tom Stiles with our halftime coverage. Take it away, Tom.
Thank you, Evan, and joined by Robin again on the sideline. And Robin, what a tense game. Just the 2 turns, just the 2 breaks, and the intensity from Jeff Babbitt is like nothing else we've seen in this tournament so far.
It has served PoNY so well to cross both Ben Yacht and Jeff Babbitt over playing some O and D. It's impossible to stop their deep game, and I've been very impressed how PoNY's been able to consistently work it under and also apply that defensive pressure to generate those turns.
Let's talk about that Harper Garvey call on the line. We heard Evan and Liam talk about it again. We might see that in the replay package. What did you make of it?
I thought it was a very interesting throwing choice by Jimmy Mickle. With someone who has so many different throws, I would have expected him to put a slightly different edge, maybe more of an inside-out throw, leading the disc away from the receiver, so Garvey would have been able to catch that uncontested. I'm assuming that the foul was maybe some contact on the second attempt right here, but it's really hard to tell from the camera angle. Maybe he clipped his knee or his hand or something. I'm not quite sure really what the outcome or even the call really could have been.
Well, we'll debate that one in the future, and we haven't had Harper Garvey's opinion. We didn't have our microphones close enough to hear the thoughts there. But the play from Marquez Brownlee getting that big break as well for PoNY, and just the quality from both these teams. We've seen brilliant end zone matchups and just hard running all the way through from both the sides. But Ring saying they're going to trust their systems. Do you think that's going to be enough in the second half?
if they can clean up those resets, find just a bit more space in the backfield, it's going to help give them a bit more spacing, slightly better timing downfield. That first deep throw turnover we saw from Ryan Osgar, I thought maybe his receiver was a bit too far, and if we can maybe get another reset before they make that throw, we could have a different receiver, better spacing downfield. Just small adjustments, and I think this game could be very much back on serve.
Well, the fans in the stands are very much enjoying the sunshine out here in Cincinnati. The Open final continues, but PoNY have taken the first half 8-6. Can Ring come back in the second? More from Cincinnati in just a moment.
Back in the broadcast booth here for the men's final with PoNY leading Ring 8-6. Evan Lepler with Liam Grant. Nearly a flawless half from the two teams. 2 total turnovers. 6 clean holds apiece, and the 2 breaks in 2 chances for PoNY. I mean, PoNY is on pace to do something that would certainly go down in ultimate lore for generations if they could play absolutely perfect. That's never happened in a game like this.
You've already jinxed a few calls already this game. I feel like you've jinxed them now again with the perfect PoNY, but I thought strategically they nailed it that first half, PoNY. That was a win for the coaching staff. And look, Jeff Babbitt made some big plays, but I think they chose the right moment to call a timeout, cross over some players, Sam Little, Jeff Babbitt, and they orchestrated that break into the half. I thought their strategy to force Ring to hook a little more has worked really well for them. And Ring, I don't think have really disrupted this PoNY offense. I think they're forcing Babbitt under, and he's getting a lot of touches, maybe more than he's usually comfortable with, but he's getting the resets, and that's all he has to do.
Well, Jonathan Nethercutt and the other handlers for the D-line haven't been able to touch the disc yet. That's why we haven't mentioned Nethercutt too much. I mean, PoNY was a little shaky early in the game. Sam Little had to make a superhero grab in the deep space. John Lithio had to catch the wobbler just millimeters above the turf. But you're absolutely right. I think it's a win for the PoNY coaching staff. And now Ring, as they pull to start the second half. Liam, they need to break not once or twice to win. They need to break 3 times.
That is a massive ask
to win this game.
Massive ask. They could win this half and still lose. You know, 3 breaks is not easy against this PoNY side. I'll be interested to see if they do cross over Jack Williams maybe to play some D points. Try and mix it up a bit.
That's a good point. Nethercutt out there with Mataraju, Alex Davis, Liam Searles-Bowes, Ethan Bloodworth, Eric Taylor, and Jacob Fairfax. Second half underway. One of these teams will join a club of World Ultimate Club champions that includes some of the iconic programs in the sport. It's a great crossfield shot from Mickle to Yacht. Randolph. And there's Babbitt. His 4th goal. And PoNY's O-line makes it look easy, extends the lead to as large as it has been all game long. It's 9-6.
On fire right now. Jimmy Mickle unlocking the offense with that big crossfield pass, and then Just look for Babbitt in the end zone if you get there. He gets free. They looked for Randolph first. Tried his shuffle step, but actually shut down. And then they go, hey, let's just look for Babbitt. He'll just run to the front corner, get free.
And Bloodworth deserves credit for being in the right spot and being ready for that Randolph cut. But the Ring defense has not had the answer for Jeff Babbitt yet in this game.
I'm not sure if there is an answer for Jeff Babbitt. Maybe they could try and schedule an AUDL game the same weekend next time. Might be the best strategy.
Well, these two teams certainly have a lot of players that met in the AUDL championship last year. They're favorites to potentially meet in the AUDL championship this year. William Dean, one of those guys who's been all pony and bringing his heart and soul to this New York squad from the sideline. Jack Hatchett in his final game with Pony, at least for now. And we have not mentioned the Saul brothers yet in this game. Raleigh with Noah Saul, the captain. Pony's Isaac Saul had his jersey retired as he's preparing to move to Philadelphia with his wife Phoebe. Noah said that his parents texted this morning and just wished them both good luck. Hope there are no injuries. Hope you enjoy it. And apparently their mother, Baru, said she was going to start cocktails early today because needed that to help out a little bit during the game. Noah did say that while they didn't say it explicitly, they're rooting for him because Noah's the new dad. His new daughter Faye arrived just a little over a month ago, and their mother is down in North Carolina with his wife helping out with the baby while he's here. So he says that's the message being sent, that they're rooting for Ring, but only the Saul. I mean, what kind of roller coaster must this be like for Bailey Saul, their dad, watching this game unfold?
I hope he has some aspirin on standby anyway to get your heart racing.
There's a big huck going up. Goose Johannes can't get it. It's Shank Alati that has the clean block on the Yannick Huck, Ring's third turnover.
Alati with the great read. And speaking of great reads, I think Grant Lindsay picking up the disc now has a book coming out.
He does, telling the story of his long journey to the wilderness in Thailand where he lived in a cave, studied at a Buddhist monastery. You can find Grant Lindsley's memoir, but there's a turnover. His memoir is called Mediocre Monk, and that was a mediocre throw and the first Pony turnover of the game. Grant's book, I believe, is coming out next spring.
I'm hoping for a signed copy after that plug anyway, Evan.
I think you and I both deserve a fine message on the inside cover. So Pony's first turnover really gives Ring some life here. I mean, the air was fading from their lungs if they were broken again with how pristine the Pony O-line has been. Very few throws coming easy now. Pony's defense is locked in as this game has progressed. Osgar hits Williams. Osgar making a move on Meeser, and up the line, Osgar with a layout.
And they get the hold eventually. Osgar having to go to ground. That didn't look too easy for Ring. Looking for Jack Williams to take over. And they've done so well to disrupt that small ball. The Pony defense, and even though they're scoring these goals, they're making the lads work for them. Marcus Brownlee doing great handler defense there. And they'll be happy with that. They had one break opportunity. They made the Ring players work for it. And again, this all down to defensive strategies, make Ring huck more than they like to. We saw them get through the semi-finals with basically throwing 0 hucks. I think they'd 1 or 2, most of which resulted in a turnover. That's the small ball offense they want to play, and it's becoming more and more difficult for them.
Well, there were only 2 turnovers in the game in the first 15 points. Each team turned it once on that last point.
We saw some of the players having some watermelon mid-game.
Looks refreshing.
Yeah, I've always debated about in-game snacks. I was actually once in Old Trafford, the Manchester United Stadium, and they only allowed players to have bananas at halftime. Wouldn't let them eat anything else.
That is seemingly the most common halftime snack, or in between sets in a tennis match. You see players gobble up the potassium. Interesting here for the Pony O-line, Liam. Ben Yacht, who played the last deep point, and it was a lengthier deep point with the 2 turns, he is not on the field on an O point for the first time in the game. So John Randolph, who's played a bunch on offense, is out there. Jimmy Mickle starts at the back of the stack, deepest downfield, with Keegan and Garvey in the backfield. From front to back, it's Little, Lithio, Randolph, Babbitt, and Mickle. Even without Yacht, they still have some talent. Big swing, Keegan to Randolph. And Randolph lets it rip. Jimmy Mickle, chased by Suraj Mataraju. Mickle can't get there. It's the first turnover for the Pony O-line. And what will Ring do with this opportunity?
Jimmy Mickle just can't clutch onto that one, and a break opportunity for the first time in this game. And again, that's the look they want this Pony team to take. Randolph to Mickle, not really the way you'd want it. It's probably the other way around would have been a goal.
First time the Ring D-line touching the disc. Liam Searles bows, angles it downfield for Fairfax. And here's Mataraju. Ben Dameron. Ben Dameron, what a last 9 months he's had, winning a club title, winning 2 college titles just since October. And that throw, Bloodworth, unable to keep it up. Just a little bit off the mark from Mataraju.
Opportunity goes a-begging. We see boos coming for Harper Garvey. They haven't forgotten that call in the first half.
Skying snag for Little. Garvey again. Here's the boos. I think it's hilarious. I bet Harper's enjoying it deep down. Here's Babbitt. Did he keep it in? No one disagrees with the goal, it appears. That's number 5 for the Easton, Massachusetts native, Jeff Babbitt.
Nobody can catch the big man. He's been forever free this entire game. I don't know if you just stop putting someone on him because nobody can keep up with him. And just blistering speed from Jeff Babbitt.
This was the biggest play, though, the block. Of course, it ended with Babbitt in the end zone, bookends. He has scored the last 3 Pony goals. That has helped transform a 7-6 game into a 10-7 lead for Pony.
Fancy footwork from Jeff Babbitt, owning the front corner of the end zone all game long. And he's a player I'd love to see play with USA at the World Games. And I think he gets on the team if he wants to. But that's been the question for Jeff Babbitt. Which of these tournament events teams does he really want? You also have to balance your work and life and other things, but could be the most talented player in the world.
Having an unbelievable performance here in the final. And Ring's really on the ropes now, Liam. I mean, they had their first break opportunity, could not cash it in. That pole just out of bounds. Yannick will trot over and go center it at the brick. Jeff Babbitt comes from a football background. He's a linebacker, just what you would expect. And you know, he's not as tall as people think he is. He's said numerous times at tournaments someone's come up and stood next to him, and he's wide. Obviously, he's super strong. I say, I thought you were taller. Oh no. This is trouble for PoNY as they turn it for the 3rd straight point here in the second half.
This very unlike Ring, making simple errors. We haven't seen him do it at all this tournament. Usually so solid in those small ball passes.
Kocher and Lindsley in the backfield. And Jeff Holm joins the group. Here's Kocher. Near the sideline. Rushmeyer Bailey throws it behind Paget.
I think if PoNY had scored there, that would have been game over, Evan.
Oscar going deep again. He reads it well, and he lands on the line. Williams trying to break free, and he will find the space.
Williams left one-on-one in the end zone, and nobody's going to be able to stop that. And they get the hold after a unfortunate turnover, but they can't afford that right now, Ring. They need to settle this ship. It's going to be tough to get 3 breaks. They're not going to get 4.
All the conditions seemingly wearing everybody down a little bit right now. And Oscar, both feet landing squarely on that front end zone line. There was little doubt who he was looking to after making that grab.
We're going to have to look to him more. I'd like to see Williams cross over at some stage. Hasn't happened yet.
No, it's not going to be here.
And you feel when there are timeouts left, try and use one of those to bring Williams over so he still has a rest in that timeout.
Do you think Williams has a chance against Babbitt defensively?
No, but I'd love to see it, Evan.
That seems like the right answer for everybody. A big corkscrew pull from Taylor. PoNY 5 points away from winning a world title and joining the legendary New York program that won 2 World Ultimate Club Championships in the early days of this event, the early 90s, during the New York dynasty, led by some of the all-time greats in the sport. Confusion about where this disc is going to be put into play. You see the way PoNY creates space downfield, that vertical stack. I mean, it's the first offensive set that most of us learn, but it leads to big plays on the big stage. Sam Little was there, and he could not pull it in.
And that throw looked money when it first came out of Mickle's hands, but a lot of zip in it. Still feel a player like Sam Little, if he gets his hand to it, you feel like he probably should be catching this. Just bounces out of his palms.
Stat keeper would give a drop there, not the throwaway. Well, this has really opened up, Liam. I mean, we had 2 turns and 15 points. PoNY 2 for 2 on break chances, led 9-6 after the opening hold to begin the second half. These last 4 points have all been holds, each of the last 3, but each team has turned it once, so now 7 turns in the last 4 points, including this one.
Still count. Still count. You can keep it there.
And this is a big break opportunity, but the problem for Ring is their D-line players haven't touched the disc very much. Very hard to play offense when you haven't seen the disc all game.
That's a rip right in the middle. Fairfax, and then Nethercutt just narrowly keeps it up. Taylor for Searles Bowes. Fairfax wide open. Well, Ring is a team that sometimes its defense can gather momentum like a snowball, Liam. So if they can get this one break, I mean, that is obviously the start.
See, Searles Bowes on the disc. A man now working as a sawyer in the mill. And actually, I think all the lumberjack work has made him a bigger framed man since I last saw him.
He has gained strength since we first met him on the national stages. Yacht bids unsuccessfully. Searles Bowes downfield for Saul as Keegan went flying by. And everybody can take a deep breath thanks to the call.
You can feel the intensity ramping up. This could be a momentum swing if Ring can punch this one in.
Keegan's shaken up. He steps off the field. Lindsley's coming on.
See the PoNY O-line throwing themselves around like a big sack of spuds.
Jack Williams is on the field now, replacing Charlie McCutcheon for the 1-for-1 injury sub with Keegan going out. And it is Williams on Babbitt downfield. An Irishman asks politely, and an American team obliges. Searles Bowes looking for Fairfax, and he dropped the hammer in the perfect spot. There's the first break for Ring, and they are back within one.
Searles Bowes grabbing the bull by the horns there. That was a brave throw at this point in the game, but executes the big hammer. The lumberjack has some power in those arms. Throwing a hammer was like throwing an axe. Fairfax, one of the best receivers in the business. And I don't think PoNY will be too disappointed with that turnovers. Mickle hooking to Little seemed like a good look. And this Ring team, we're never going to go down without a fight.
That was a tremendous throw by Liam Searles Bowes, the 3-time college champ, the 1-time club champ. And it genuinely feels like we are in the early days of this burgeoning rivalry between PoNY and Ring. For sure, Liam, Ring is not going anywhere. You know, as of last fall, Ring had 18 guys on the roster who were 25 years of age or younger. PoNY had 4 that fit that distinction. And on the other side of the show, PoNY last fall had 10 guys in their 30s. Ring just had 3. PoNY had the 6 oldest guys in the championship last fall, and these are very similar rosters now. After getting broken for the first time, can PoNY recover? Keegan has recovered quick. He's back out there on O, and he'll launch it long. Sam Little has gobs of space, and the throw is picture perfect. Keegan to Little to put PoNY up by 2 again.
Sam Little gets 2 hands on that one. I like that, going for the same look that I turned over on in the point before. They like that look. They'll trust Little, send it to him again. That one a bit easier to chase down. It's, you know, getting back on the horse. You shouldn't be afraid to go deep after the drop. And Sam Little, a man that's not easily shaken. He's just such a great player to have in your offense. Just does the simple things so well. And when you have the likes of Babbitt and Yacht, who are maybe more physical presence, he complements them perfectly.
He's just so steady, and he's shown the ability to make the big play to save a possession once or twice a game, and that's exactly what you want from that position on the offense. So PoNY by 2. Ring still needs to break a couple times, but starts with a hold here to get back within 1. Keegan involved in 4 of the 11 scores directly. Jack Hatchett pulls. What a crowd. I mean, the near side of the stadium, what you're not seeing regularly, is completely packed. I mean, completely full. And now the far side of the stadium's filling in nicely as well. Women's final coming up at 3 o'clock. I am so excited about that game. Fury and Revolution. Collision there in the backfield. We play on with Gush Johannes, getting it back from Davis. Alex Davis goes to Mitchell underneath. He had Osgard deep. He made the sure choice. Mitchell resets. Gives it back to Gooch. Just a tremendous matchup. Randolph, Gush Johannes had battles in college, battles in club, now battles at Worlds, and Gush Johannes wins this battle and punctuates the point with his trademark butt spike.
Yeah, he's gonna have to start collecting royalties on that one if anyone else attempts it. Giving those glutes a workout. That's another deep grind from Raleigh, but that's the offense that works so well for them this whole tournament long. It's very different to ponies, a lot more touches, a lot more leg work.
The butt spike was not something we saw during his collegiate days, Liam. Something he developed just in the past year and a half or so. He said teammates always gave him a hard time, said he had a big butt. And on a poster that was in his house in college, teammate Walker Matthews took a Sharpie and added some size to his derriere. So he thought, I have to come up with something. Why not make that my thing? And it's pretty clever and original.
Pack stands here at the World Ultimate Club Championships, and having been someone that's participated in these events, just coming to see the finals is one of the great joys of it. Everyone comes here to play, but also to see the Jimmy Mickles, to see the Jack Williams in the flesh.
Liam, would you care to give the quick recap of the party before this next point begins?
Yeah, they changed the party from last time around. It was in a water park 4 years ago, but this was actually downtown Mason. They cordoned off the whole streets and had a band at one side, a reggaeton DJ at the other, a silent disco, and we just took over town, and it was a brilliant occasion. It's good to have it outdoors as well. That's something you're seeing a lot of tournaments do, to try and keep more air circulating around.
I'll just say this. No one was happier that the men's game wasn't the first game on the schedule than Liam Grant. Because that 10 a.m. wake up for the opening pull would have been rough.
Done it before and I'll do it again, Evan.
No, you will. There's the crowd continuing to boo Harper Garvey. And some confusion here about where this disc should be put into play.
I've always enjoyed the pantomime crowd.
It's okay.
Harper Garvey's been nominated as the villain in this game.
Noah Saul's on Garvey defensively in the reset space. Weaver's on Keegan. What a difficult and beautiful throw that was from Sean Keegan to Sam Little. And then the space on this near side, wide open for Yacht. Pick halts play. Babbitt and Lithio, the two deepest pony cutters in the stack right now. Mickle making a move though. Mickle's going deep. Garvey's coming back to the handler territory. Can Pony continue to play calm, poised, possession ultimate? If the answer is yes, they will be the world champions.
Ring making them work at this point. This is one of the longer possessions for a Pony, and you can see it's tying them out a little bit.
Yacht for Lithio, one-handed snag near the sideline. Well, we talked about the resets. They've been very good for Pony, especially with the O-line. Mickle taken away by Mataraju, but Garvey frees himself. Again, it's Little with Taylor counting the stall. I mean, this almost feels like PoNY's taking a page out of the Ring playbook. Although that throw was a tough one, and it was near the sideline. And PoNY landed on the blue. No argument from Yacht. BVH watching his O-line turn it for just the second time. Break chance for Ring. Wow. Oh, well, he dropped the disc. He dropped the disc. He was in bounds. The replay showed, but he dropped the disc. Ring's got the full 70 in front of him. Davis. Weaver can't get it. He went up early.
I thought that was going to be the big turning point in the game, Evan. I think Yacht is dropping in his concentration in that long grinding point. I don't think I've ever seen Yacht drop a disc like that.
That's a critical missed opportunity. Nickel for Keegan Weaver. Full extension. Keegan able to maintain possession through the contact.
The two number twos getting to know each other very well out there. Went for a bit of a roly-poly.
I mean, this second half has had a very different feel than the first half. Only 2 turns in the first half. We've now had 9 turnovers in the second half. And the back and forth has given this game a new flavor. Lit the O for Yacht. PoNY finishes the O point in the end zone. And it's 12-10.
Yacht sails that ship slowly into port. That was great from Ring. Really good defensive pressure, and you can feel the intensity rising all around the stadium. Every eyeball on this match. William Dean getting the sideline pumped up. And that was good from Ring, that was good. But they blew the opportunity. Strange drop from Yacht, had it in control for almost a second or two. Just forcing it a bit, Ring. I thought there was a real opportunity to break there. PoNY looked tired.
That was a makeable throw up the line to Weaver, but it was not an easy throw. And, you know, there was part of me that was thinking Weaver maybe takes one more step and then goes up, but that's such a subjective suggestion from our perch up here. So Keegan and company able to work it in and stay 2 up. Lanier, Mitchell, Fisher, Osgar, Williams downfield. Saul and Gooch in the backfield. Lanier resets for Yannick. Kocher trying to stay with him. Ambitious Scuber.
I feel like I'm watching the Mooncatchers here. A lot of Scoobers in the second half.
They were something else. They really were. Can't wait to watch them in the future. The Belgians with the pickups from France and Latvia. The U.S. dudes weren't bad either. There's a nice little dish. Inside flick, up the line. Mitchell from Yannick. Ring back within 1. Maintaining the connectivity that they need to perhaps deliver a late push and change the narrative here in Cincy.
Mitchell from Bull City originally with the goal, and looking really good out there now. Actually, the Ring of Fire offense have a zip in their step, but here comes the hard part, getting a break. And they did, I think, exceptionally well in that last point, really grinded PoNY and got the turn. I think that was just from sheer effort and hard work. And then you do that again. I think there's an opportunity to try and tire out the PoNY O-line. They looked a little tired after that last point, so even if you don't get the break, keep them out there. Make them work hard.
Each team had just 1 break in San Diego last October. Ring had PoNY had the first break in the game. Ring got it back though pretty quick. There were no breaks in the game after the 7th point in the 13-12 Ring win for this franchise that's been around since the late 80s. They've made every national championship for 24 consecutive years. They've been in the semis 5 straight times, 7 of the last 9. I mean, Ring's been knocking on the door. PoNY was the team that had been there before, winning a title in 2018, ending the Revolver dynasty.
Eric Taylor, another sensational pull. They've been on the money, those windmill wind-up pulls.
One of those things you can try and emulate the mechanics, but it takes a lot of practice to do it like Taylor. Mickle near the sideline. Backhands it for Babbitt. And Mickle shoots it. Little is open. And that was smooth and simple, and perhaps a pick helped to free it up, and it will come back.
Wasn't sure if there's going to be a pick, because often Little can be that free, just find spaces where no one else can. Usually you see a situation like that, you immediately think pick, but with Little you're thinking, no, he probably found that space somehow. A crafty player could peel an orange in his pocket.
Well, it's been a thrill and an honor to be here in Southern Ohio all week long. This event began last Saturday with the opening ceremonies, the Parade of Nations, the opening showcase game between a Japanese team and a Canadian team in the women's division.
I can provide a rules clarification. You're not allowed to be touching someone. It's a violation to touch someone on purpose.
0, in on 0.
Kind of one.
And that's the biggest difference between European Open Ultimate and USA Open Ultimate, is that little elbow or little sidearm at the start of the play. Not something you see too much outside of North America. I think both teams probably fine with it here.
Bloodworth, little shoving in Randolph's back as he made the catch there. Here's Keegan, Nethercutt on the mark. Oh, and he goes underneath it beautifully. What a throw. John Randolph with the emphatic spike. And PoNY is within 2 more scores of a title.
John Randolph just roasts Bloodworth up the line, and Bloodworth asking for help, but the help never came.
Well, PoNY's had nightmares of Osgard or Williams for a long time. The North Carolinians had nightmares of Hecht to Randolph in the college division.
And it's interesting to see players make that transition from college for being the, every second pass guy to being, the secondary cutter, to being, I remember seeing Mac Hecht playing with Seattle this week on the D-line and kind of touching the disc once or twice in the game. It was strange of seeing him as be the guy, the main dude. And that's a difficult transition for any college player.
Regardless of how this game ends up, these are going to be the 2 favorites heading into the fall in the USA U Club Series. But this important chapter of Ultimate history nearing its point of culmination. Jack Williams. We've seen Jack be a takeover player throughout his career at times. He has not necessarily been that in this game. Now he's going deep, and Yannick puts it up. Davis and Williams versus Lindsley, and it's Jack Williams right on cue.
What a play for the big man, getting the crowd going. He's a talismanic leader of this team. Jack Williams ascending into the air. Let's see that one again. The wind-up. This was a dangerous throw. Lindsay was in the area, but Alexa, turn off gravity. Jack Williams rising into the air.
Jack Williams does have special powers in this sport. Helped push UNC Wilmington all the way to the final in his college days, reaching the top of the sport in the World Games 2 weeks ago. 13-12 PoNY.
And that's such mental endurance to go down with a national team, down to Alabama, get the game, tournament winning goal, and then come here, play with your club side, and just being able to switch on, to reset, to refocus. It's very difficult to do in that kind of time period, but Jack Williams definitely up for a battle here.
Mike DeNardis giving some instructions to the ring defense. Do they have any tweaks or curveballs that can get a turn here? And look, they've had 2 break chances in this half that they have not capitalized on, Liam. They had no break chances in the first, but here since halftime, they're 1 for 3. They got the 1, but they missed 2 chances, and that's the difference. Pole landed all the way out the back of the end zone. It's that blue line with the orange cone, so Keegan will slowly stroll it up.
One of the very few bricked pulls in this game, and a big advantage that for the offense.
Keegan, one of those guys, I'm not sure he'll still be playing at this level 4 years from now. Certainly not counting him out, but certainly in the later stages of his tremendous ultimate career as an anchor handler for several champions. Here's Harper Garvey. Harper, for a long time, has been the chief meteorologist for this PoNY team, giving everybody a weather update before every game. But he's on 7 other committees, he said, so he had to pass off the meteorological responsibilities. Marquez Brownlee is the new chief meteorologist for PoNY. And I thought that's important information that you all needed to have. Randolph to the end zone. Keegan, was he in? Liam Searles-Bowes was the closest ring defender, and he appeared to signal score. And it's kind of a hesitant celebration for PoNY as the conversation continues.
I've not seen the game advisors raise their arm for a goal just yet.
And now PoNY celebrates. You heard the words, definitely in. 14-12.
We've seen the Jumbotron play its role in this tournament a couple of times, but I don't think it was needed there for that particular goal. I've been really liking the action replays and occasionally players staring to the big screen for answers. Doesn't always give you the answer you want, but adds to the drama.
The most trustworthy game advisor has been the video board.
Most definitely.
What a game for Keegan.
And he kind of quietly racked up a lot of those goals and assists. Not a very flashy player, but just doing the right things, and that's what this PoNY team is stacked with. The likes of Little, I'd put in the same boat.
Looks like a timeout was called. All week long, Liam, no one has scored more than 12 points on PoNY. Their closest game was a 15-12 win over Mooncatchers in the power pools. One more look at this last dish from Randolph to Keegan. Was he in? They needed to look at the board to check. Keegan thought he was in. They saw it and they celebrated. Technology in 2022 is a wonderful thing.
It is, and I think we should just enjoy the drama around looking at the replays. I think people sometimes get a little annoyed if there's a long stoppage, but I know in sports like rugby and soccer, they've actually added the theatrics with those video replays. So I think it actually, for the viewer, adds something to the game.
Well, our production crew, led by Charlie Eisenhood and Aiden Shapiro-Layton, and the entire Ulti-World team, has just done a phenomenal job over the past several weeks. I can't imagine how much sleep these guys have lost these past few weeks with all the snafus and struggles that inevitably happen over the course of live production at an Ultimate tournament. But man, the Ultimate community appreciates them. Not enough. They are worthy of all the praise and adulation. But here we go, 14-12. Ring needs to score, otherwise it's over. Yannick marked by Brownlee, who knows the weather inside and out. Fisher. Inside, Meeser bidding, and got up quick enough to deny the big huck from Osgar. Yannick shooting for Fisher. Hatchet there defensively. It was underthrown. Hatchet blocked it. Fisher called a foul.
I thought Hatchet did tremendously well there to get the ground back on Fisher. We're going straight to the video referee here. A lot of expectation on our camera operators and crew to have it ready. They were looking before even really discussing the call there.
Maybe this angle will tell the story better. And Fisher has retracted the call.
And I do believe that's the right call. I think there was no contact, if not minimal contact with the hand, and that is allowed in the new WFDF rules if you get the disc first. And that a clean D and just an underthrow, really.
Liam, it's just the 12th turnover of the game, the 7th for Ring of Fire. And PoNY has the disc. Randolph to Hatchet, shooting it long. Antoine Davis went up early. And Alex Davis's footsteps may have forced Antoine to go up sooner than he wanted.
Loving that Davis on Davis matchup. As a neutral, I'm secretly happy there was a turnover there just because we get more action here. I want this to go down to the wire. I never want this to end.
Brownlee got the disc. It's a foul. And Brownlee does not contest.
Yeah, we don't need a tech review on that one. No VR needed.
Lanier bluffs it, and Babbitt sells his body out for that block on the point. Here's Fisher under. Yannick's going long. And then the underneath block from Randolph was clean on Gushohannes. First point of the game that's had more than 2 turns. Brownlee to Lindsley. Is this history for PoNY? Unfolding right here. Hatchet hammers, Babbitt has it, and PoNY is a world champion for the first time. 15-12, PoNY over Ring. And New York Ultimate is back on top.
Jeff Babbitt, my MVP of the final. He's worked so hard, and PoNY had that chance earlier and gave it away. I knew they were going to look for Babbitt, look for him in the end zone. He will always provide. What a game. PoNY, sensational performance. Couldn't ask for any more. Ring fought hard, but in the end, Babbitt and the boys, too much for them to handle.
Well, 2 turns for Ring on the final point, and PoNY wins it on a break. The D-line was not flawless in this game, Liam, but Randolph's block gets it back, and then Hatchet's hammer to the superstar of the day. And the celebration begins in the Big Apple.
What an honor to watch this game. 2 best teams in the world but only one could be champion. It's been great work from the likes of Brian Jones and William Dean. Did a lot of hard work on that sideline. He kept them pumped up. He was the inspiration for this pony side.
Man, that game had everything, didn't it? I mean, it was near perfect ultimate in the first half. There were only 2 turns in the first half. And then the second half, there were 12 turns. Each team had 6 turns after halftime. And we had that kind of back and forth roller coaster momentum swinging. PoNY got the 1 break back, but they just dug too deep of a hole, and PoNY's defense and the game plan has vaulted them back to the throne in the men's division at Worlds.
Perfect game plan from Brian Jones. We saw them cross over in that final point, Babbitt and Randolph onto that D-line, and they had the firepower to fire it in.
Well, it's been a few decades since a New York men's club team won a world title, but now the dynasty of New York has company. PoNY is the world champs, in large part due to the big man, Jeff Babbitt. He is standing by with our Katie Killebrew. Katie?
Jeff, big moment here, world championship. What does that feel like?
It feels absolutely incredible. You know, spending a week together in a house, just like having one goal in front of us and working so hard and improving over the entire week and having it come to fruition is just incredible.
You had 6 goals today, being known as a defensive specialist, now on the O-line. What does that feel for you?
I think O-line's a little bit boring. But, you know, I'm just out on the field doing whatever the team needs of me. And if that's scoring a bunch of goals, then that's what I'm going to do. And if it's playing defense, that's what I'm going to do.
We've heard other players describe this experience a little bit as ultimate summer camp, where you're surrounded by new friends from all over the world. How has this Worlds game been different from any of your other ultimate experience?
Yeah, so it has been really incredible meeting, you know, dozens upon dozens or hundreds of people come up and introduce themselves, and it's just like wonderful knowing the ultimate community beyond the U.S., and it's just been a great experience.
Awesome. Well, we'll let you go celebrate with your team. Congratulations on the World Championship and a highlight reel day. I'm going to send it back to you, Evan Lepler.
Thank you, Katie Killebrew. Well done down on the sideline. Got to imagine it was a special place to be for this particular game. Not quite universe, Liam, but still so many subplots and such drama and such a high level of ultimate that these two teams put on display for the world to see.
Yeah, lots of action from the boring Jeff Babbitt and the boring Sam Little getting stuck in there. It's not been boring to watch this game whatsoever. They put on a show for us. And a team worthy of calling themselves world champions. Unguardable Jeff Babbitt. I can't say enough great things about him.
Well, you said it well. There was no answer. Both teams spent the last couple hours throwing their bodies around, putting their physicality and athleticism on the line. Ring got the 1 break with Fairfax. That made it a 10-9 game. Yannick took some shots, and Jack Williams, that was the goal that made it 13-12, but Ring would not score again. And on the final point, John Randolph, the all-world player, helps his New York team win a world title. And it was our thrill and honor to call it for you. Fury Revolution coming up in just a little bit, but for now we say so long for Liam Grant, Katie Killebrew, and our entire crew. Evan Lepler saying goodbye for now, and congratulations to PoNY, the new world champion.